Good morning, everyone. This is really strange. First times for everything, don't we? Don't we have a lot of examples of first times for everything? My name is Elaine Langhout. I'm the Director of Advertising for Remax Western Canada, and welcome to this morning's session. It's 9:02 here in BC, and hopefully everybody's well out there. This will be 60 minutes with Remax, and someone's raised their hand already. Anita Chan. Just want to make sure that if we are able to take chat questions, we'll be able to do that. But we do have a lot of content to cover this morning. So as I was mentioning, I'm Elaine Langhout, the Director of Remax of Western Canada, the advertising program. And it's my job to invest the advertising funds that you send to the region every month. It's $120 a month this year currently. And I'm going to be showing you some examples of what we do with the ad funds and how we invest in the brand, and also what we've done to react to the COVID-19 crisis, which is on everyone's mind. You'll be able to find a copy of this presentation at the Dropbox file. It's on the screen right now. So if you want to take a look at some of the things I'm talking about a little bit later, we'll have the Dropbox for you. So we're going to do an advertising program update for you for the next 45 minutes. And then Kayley Jackson will come on and do a social media update and talk to you a bit about communications. So I'd like to thank TD Canada Trust for helping us put these sessions on. And we'll get into the presentation, which is, you know what, it's all about the power of the brand right now. People recognize trusted and brands that they trust more than ever these days. And I'll get into some research that we've done lately. Your success ultimately is our #1 goal in the advertising program. We know that you need to trust what we're doing is going to represent you really well, and the messages that we're sending to the public. So what we're going to talk about today specifically is the 2020 strategy, purpose of the group ad fund. And again, this is going to be an education for a lot of our newer agents who are tuning in, and maybe it's a repeat for some of you who have been around for quite some time and just need a little refresher. So the purpose of our fund, and then what we've done since COVID-19 hit. And I promise I'll give you some tools of things that you can use now. So pre-mid-March, which I like to say, I can't remember anything that went on prior to mid-March, other than the notes that I have here, which is our purpose is to keep top of mind with the consumer out there. So our #1 goal here is to advertise so the consumer thinks of Remax first. We want to communicate at that 35,000 foot level, keeping our messages very broad, communicating the Remax brand, positioning statements, and we want to differentiate you from the others, from all the competition. We do spend the ad money in the communities that they're raised in, and we don't promote individual properties listed for sale or individual agents. And that's an example of SkyTrain we have running in Vancouver. So here's the typical household we're trying to reach. This is you. This is not COVID-19. This is a normal day. Our household is multi-screen based, and we're trying to sort of interrupt what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So there's multi-screens going on. If you're like my 17-year-old son, he's got multi-screens going on in his room at the very same time. He's watching a movie, playing a game, and chatting with friends. It's an amazing culture we live in these days. With Remax, we do have 95% brand awareness. So your first hurdle is already taken care of when you're with the Remax organization. And we've got a ton of support for you, including graphic standards and multi-levels of support. I'll get into that in a second, but I want to focus on this slide just a little bit to show you the way that the logos are used correctly. So if you're using commercial, there's no balloon associated with the logo. If you're using the balloon by itself, it's blue letters, red slash, and by itself, it's red letters, blue slash. So just if you want to take a screenshot of that particular slide, that's how you use your logos correctly. Now, for support to the RE/MAX organization, as I was mentioning, there's Denver, Colorado, which is our head office in RE/MAX LLC. There's RE/MAX of Western Canada's regional office here in Kelowna. And there's also your region, your office, your broker owner. So there's a bunch of support for you in your business. And in addition to that, in the advertising department, we have a committee of local broker owners and local sales associates who represent your interests on a regional advertising committee. There's 16 of them, 8 brokers, 8 sales associates. You can be a volunteer if you've been with RE/MAX for over 2 years, and you can volunteer eventually to do your part for the RE/MAX organization. So we have an annual meeting every May, and unfortunately there was no photo for it this year because we met virtually. So that photo there is the last year's RE/MAX group advertising committee. And this committee is the one that we vet a lot of ideas with and ensure that we're accomplishing the objectives of the program. So 8 brokers, 8 sales associates. Now, if you're in a multi-office area, I want to bring your attention to Winnipeg, Regina, Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton, Lower Mainland, and Victoria. You also have a local committee that has a local levy. And in those particular areas, you have a local committee headed up by a local sales associate, and you have a rep from every office on that local committee who invests your local levy. So for instance, in Vancouver, the local levy is $27 a month. So, and the committee is quite large, 35 to 40 agents representing 1 from each office in Lower Mainland. The chair of that local committee is the one who sits on my regional advertising committee. So this is the structure of how our communication works internally. Those local committees meet once a month and they review advertising proposals and things for the local, to reach for local objectives. Now, if you're in a single office area market, your broker owner is your contact with region, okay? So multi-office areas, you have local office reps that sit on a local committee. In single office areas, you have your broker owner to communicate with directly on advertising issues. Okay, so I hope that makes some sense. And it makes sense that you have a voice and you know the proper procedure for communicating. Now, getting on to our 2020 campaign, this is some highlights of what we were doing. So we're doing a lot of digital advertising. We're doing search engine marketing, display, programmatic display retargeting, voice search, pre-roll, video, YouTube, digital video. We're doing EA gaming. We're doing some Spotify spots and paid social media, of course, just a ton on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're doing sports marketing, some outdoor and transit, balloons, and a ton of content. We'll get into some of that a bit later, and social media, and then funding remax.ca. So I'm going to show you a couple of these were ads that were running just prior to COVID-19 hitting, okay?
I know this guy. I've talked to him on the phone. He knows his stuff.
You might have seen that one. And you might have seen some of those guys in your neighborhood, maybe.
Hey, did you hear from the real estate agent?
No.
Anything from the agent?
No?
Anywhere from the agent?
No.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
We're running a lot of sponsored social media. These are a bunch of ads we were running on Facebook and Instagram. And we also are doing paid video game mobile app marketing to the gaming community. And you might think it's all 17 to 25-year-olds, but it really isn't. It's mostly 25 to 64. The 35 plus demos are growing, and actually the 50 plus market is the fastest growing. And these numbers were actually taken prior to COVID-19. So, video gaming is huge. And the way that we are using the video game market is they only pay if they watch our videos. So in the middle of your game, if you're on a mobile app and you're playing something like NHL or Plants vs. Zombies, you'll be interrupted with a short video. And if you watch the video through to the end, you get a reward. So there's incentive for the player to watch the entire video. So we put something on there that's a little bit entertaining and only takes 15 seconds. We've had just over a 2.05 click-through rate, percentage click-through rate on them. And yeah, so that even this market's getting used to seeing advertising in it. So some of the safe brand choices of programming that we're putting ads into are some of the ones I've noted below. So everything's a pilot project. Everything is that we're doing. We sort of dip our toes into different types of marketing and see what works and see what resonates with the consumer. And we're always moving it forward as we're, especially these days, in a very agile market. Our goal with the ad program is always to drive traffic to remax.ca. We've been adding some new features onto it lately, including the home value estimator, which top of mind to a lot of consumers right now is what's my home worth. So we're going to be starting to run some more ads pretty soon to drive traffic again to that particular tool on remax.ca. And we're also working on another one coming soon listings. So keep in touch with us so that you'll be current to what we are producing for new tools on remax.ca. So prior to March 15th, we're still on prior to March 15th, we were doing just great. The markets were good. We were delivering 217% more clicks to the site. There were 7% more sessions on remax.ca, 513% increase in conversions, even though we had 44% less impressions running. And the reason why we had less impressions was we decided to go fully digital this year. Instead of running TV commercials, we were completely online for the spring campaign. And then this happened. So we completely pivoted our strategy and had to rethink things very quickly. So we were strategizing at a very fast clip during March and April, even right through into May. We are just redefining and reinventing things. We developed 3 pillars during our what we call paradigm shift to reach the brokers, the agents, and of course the consumer. And the consumer was extremely anxious, as we all know. And we know that the definition of anxiety, or the opposite of anxiety, is not calm, it's trust. The opposite of anxiety is not calm, it is trust. And we need to establish trust back to the consumer before they'll start doing business. So we created the 3 C's: collaboration within our teams at regional office and through Denver. We started creating a whole ton of content to reach the consumer and to reach you. And we kept communicating. Just keep working, keep communicating, keep reassuring, which is what all of you have been doing with your clients as well. So what direction we went? We tapped into leadership. So Adam Contos, Elton Ash, business partners, everyone hunkered down personally, worked remotely, taking care of their loved ones. We provided leadership, protecting the brand. We started polling you, asking how things were going out there, and communicating your insights to the consumer. You were offering help and advice for buyers and sellers, like you were just looking after the basics and keeping in touch. And then at the same time, we started developing new content and stories for remax.ca, and we've loaded it up with a bunch of resources to help the consumer feel safe during the buying and selling process. It's our job, again, to be communicating at 35,000 foot level to consumers in general, how Remax agents can take care of them during these times. So we kept communicating. What you started doing, you called your clients, you implemented new safety practices for showings. You were offering advice through and guidance to the consumer. And you got out in your communities, which is so important during times like this. You were delivering food, you were coaching your clients, you were fundraising, you were sewing, you were homeschooling your kids, all at the same time, donating blood, walking the dog, and so much more. And we put together a video, a very short video of some of the great works that you've done. And it's called #RemaxCares. It's on YouTube now if you want to go take a look at it. I'd suggest you make your own Remax Cares video about everything that you are doing for consumers right now in your own business and in the community, and make it your own personal Remax Cares video. And the other big thing you did was you went out and got tech educated, whether you were dragging your heels and not doing it, but now you're very tech savvy, creating video tours, live tours, your tech, Zoom, everything has improved dramatically. So we're able to go out to the consumer now and say you are tech enabled, completely ready to go to help through any things that they've got. Now, at the same time all of this was going on, Camp and King, which is Remax LLC's agency in San Francisco, was doing some consumer research between March 16th and April 23rd. They were polling consumers, and you can see what markets they were polling in, also polling the agents. And some of the insights they were gaining were for the 2021 campaign. In the middle of all this, COVID-19 hits, and they start asking some questions about the current market, about how fearful they are, and of course, what it's like for the consumer during times like this, but also what does the consumer expect from an agent? And I want to share with you one slide, which was the consumer's compelling moments. And I think it really, really makes sense. So get ready to take a screenshot of this or look it up when you look at the Dropbox later. This is the height of what the consumer considers during their buying and selling process. And the higher the dot, it means the more excited they are. So deciding to buy or sell is a very high moment. Preparing to sell, they start to drop excitement. Assembling a team, like getting your financing ready and your home prepared and all those sorts of things. So who do I need on my team to get this done? Doing research on finding the new property, or all the research that needs to go in. Visiting homes, they let us know that it was actually a kind of a cumbersome, almost a negative experience for a lot of them. Once they found the home, it became a high again. Making an offer, going through the negotiation process, they started to drop off again. And the closing, between making an offer and the closing, seemed like a lifetime that they were waiting and getting sort of less and less excited until they actually moved into it and came way back up to the peak of excitement. One of the bottom lines to the research was what the consumer said. I'll wrap it up into 3 lines. They want you to lead the way, hold their hand virtually, and make it happen. They need you as a trusted guide. So I really think this is paramount. Remember that you're a leadership role. They want you to take them through the process with them and then make it happen, whether that's a sale or a purchase. So these are just very, very high level insights, but I love this slide. I think it really resonates. I'd stick it on my bathroom mirror every morning to remind me what my job is. One of the other concerns that they found out during this time, this research, was what does the tagline, "Don't worry, we've done this a million times," mean? And in the red, you can see that most people found it extremely negative, about half. Don't worry makes me worry. And we've done this a million times. They felt it didn't make them feel very special. So consumers really want to feel special. So Rise Above was created, and there is a new tagline that has replaced Don't worry, we've done it a million times. Some more consumer research I want to share with you briefly. During April 26th to May 3rd, we polled the consumers here in Western Canada and asked them how many of them planned on buying or selling. And basically 76% were postponing their search at this time, because 80% of those postponing were also reporting loss of income. 71% think that COVID-19 will result in a drop in housing prices, and 19% are uncertain of the impact. So very, very high anxiety in our consumer. And don't forget, this was between April 26th and May 3rd. And the pulse and the quickness of how the market is changing, these numbers have come down significantly since then. But we need to go back to the consumer now and find out how they feel. So we asked them another question. What are the most significant services an agent can offer considering the current climate? Number 1, honesty and reliability. And number 2 is the adaptability to move my plans forward, providing insights quickly as things change. So they're looking to you for advice. Again, that hold my hand virtually and help them through the process. If they're in the market, they need to be in the market right now. So just to recap of some of the content we've created over the past 8 weeks that you have, if you want to share any of these on your social, you're welcome to. The Rise Up video, which you'll find on the homepage of remax.ca. There's a We Are commercial that you can create off of remaxhustle.com. And there's a thank you video that Remax LLC has created. The Remax Cares video, the one I alluded to a little earlier. And we've got another new series coming out. I've just temporarily called it Safe with Remax. And I'll show you an example of one of those coming up. For social media, there's a hashtag @HomeTogether. Remax Cares is another hashtag. And then the thank you social post we've created. You'll find all of these on the region update, or if you're following us on Facebook, Western Canada's Facebook, you'll find a lot of these resources there. And a lot of them will also be on remax.ca. So you'll find the blog content on the last section there, a resource center for COVID-19 resources, again, in helping you help the consumer feel safe and to reestablish that trust, because they really need a lot of hand-holding during these times. So here's some examples of some blog content we created for remax.ca. You'll see our commitment during COVID-19 crisis, and I encourage you all, if you haven't been on remax.ca, please go and see these resources and repurpose them for your own businesses. How Canadian real estate can continue during the coronavirus, virtual deals, and how to connect with your realtor digitally. And a lot of these things, again, we were writing them at a very fast clip during the entire crisis when people were on complete lockdown. How do you find a real estate agent virtually? Okay, we did some social post boosting of these articles to reach the consumer. So we're reaching out into their homes and their digital environments to help them feel safe, to find trustworthy advice on how to stay safe and respect social distancing if you need to sell. So that was an article to reach our sellers. And the other one is trustworthy advice on how to buy, how to stay safe during the buying process. Another resource that was developed that you're welcome to is a safe selling your home tip sheet. So I've put 3 on each slide. So it's actually one article in particular, but you can get this and distribute it to your social channels if you like. But it's, 6 steps into how to sell your home virtually these days. A lot of our partners stepped up to the plate really quickly. The WHL, I have to give credit to, one of the first ones that did some promotion for us, taking a look at what they posted on all 17 WHL websites. Remax is offering stability, comfort, and up-to-date information for you if you're our part during COVID-19. So that was posted on all 17 WHL websites, including WHL.ca, and literally came out within a couple of weeks of the crisis hitting. Many of our other partners have come up with, this is some examples out of Calgary, the Roughnecks and the Hitmen, doing some frontline hero sponsoring. I know we've got billboards running in Winnipeg, which is fantastic. And this is just a sampling of some of the things that were done quickly. The next one I'm going to show you is a little commercial we created. It's part of our Safe with Remax. Now, it was created about 2 weeks ago. So we've got 5 more coming up, but I want to show you just this one to show you how we're helping the consumer imagine how to sell their home virtually. And each little spot is going to have one feature within it. So this one is just the first one of a series of 6. So here we go. So there's our new tagline, let our experience be your guide. To replace, don't worry, we've done this a million times. We've also got marketing tools available for you. These little videos will be all available on YouTube. And if you go on to remixhustle.com, you'll see some COVID-19 resources for you there as well. Now, here's an example of the billboards that were put out in Manitoba and Winnipeg. And congratulations to everybody out there. Really great, quick thinking, and what a great message that puts out. Some other things we're working on. Balloon program, been getting a lot of questions about when's the balloon gonna fly again? And it will be back on the prairies starting July 1st. And we're working on a first responders contest to help some first responders go up in a balloon for a flight for two. So watch for that coming soon. Balloon will only be flying this year. The bouncing castles and things like that will probably be left in the trailer because there aren't any big public events going on. So be patient with us as we try to navigate through all of this. And as I said, we're pivoting during these times. If you need information about the balloon, if you're on the prairies, there's some contact information for you. And sports. Well, haven't we all been sitting around watching reruns long enough of 1991 playoffs and 19 and watching the Oilers win Stanley Cups back-to-back years? I need my hockey fixed. So we're monitoring all of these contracts with the Canucks and the Oilers and the Flames and of course Winnipeg Jets. We're waiting for them to get playing again, and we all know from the news that there will be a modified playoff rounds coming up and whatnot. So just watch for those. Rink boards will appear in games that were scheduled to be home games for all of our teams that have rink boards. And in Winnipeg, we have some commercials running during the games, and we don't need to run through this pizza spot again.
I know this guy. I've talked to him on the phone. He knows his stuff.
Whitecaps delayed their season quite a bit, and we're waiting again just to see how we're going to have, what kind of exposure we're going to have for Whitecaps games. And during the spring, we were busily creating some hockey spots to run during Memorial Cup and the WHL playoffs. So we completed them, and they're hockey themed, and I'm going to show them to you next.
Thinking about owning a home?
There's so much to know.
RE/MAX is here to help. How about a bungalow? 2-story possibly? Or even a condo?
Okay, coach.
We're on side.
With RE/MAX, we always have a game plan. Okay, here's our game plan. We enter through the neutral zone, we pivot to the open concept main floor, and what do we see?
A pool! It's a pool!
Yes, and outdoor barbecue, kitchen.
Yes! It's a hat trick.
No matter your needs, RE/MAX has a game plan for you.
You might be also wondering about WHL. If you have a WHL team in your market, you're part of a 17-team league-wide deal. And we got through most of last season. There was 3 games we weren't able to play with our Don Cherry, Ron McLean bobblehead organ donation theme nights, which was Calgary, Victoria, and Kelowna. So in the process of this program, we have rink boards and team logo rights, and we were giving away Don Cherry, Ron McLean bobbleheads, and doing some fundraising for the Kidney Foundation of Canada with the jersey sales. Now, if you look in the picture, there's one player not wearing exactly their team sweater. They're wearing a blue, baby blue, or a dark blue sweater. Those were auctioned off after the games, and they raised a bunch of money for the Kidney Foundation of Canada. In fact, in the past 3 years, through these organ donation theme nights, RE/MAX has helped to raise over $566,800 for the Kidney Foundation of Canada. So we're very proud of these game nights. We just don't know what's going to happen to WHL this year. There's so much happening right now. We're pivoting as quickly as we can to ensure that RE/MAX is top of mind with the consumer. Remind you that you have to reassure your clients that you will lead the way. You will hold their hand during this process, and you'll make it happen. And RE/MAX is behind you 100% of the way. You have a very strong brand here. You have a very strong team, and multi-levels of support helping you with your businesses. I have a couple of more quotes to give you. I really like this one by Ron Tite. It says, when chaos strikes, the pros appear. And the exit from the corner is more important than the entry. So we know what it feels like to be in the middle of a crisis, and we know we need to establish trust. So we'll be doing everything we can possible to position you as the very best, letting your experience be their guide. I will leave you with a video, and I hope it's not going to be choppy, but you never know. Let's just, it's one of the new viral videos created by Remax LLC that I thought really sums up a brand's job. Here we go.
I'd like to bring to the court's attention and submit into evidence Mark's face. His sad, sad little real estate agent face. No, he doesn't work for Remax, but everywhere he goes, he's surrounded by Remax branding. He'll look to the left. What's there? That's a billboard. Looks to the right. Oh, it's a Remax balloon for some reason. He could even leave the country, and he still sees Remax everywhere. Everywhere. I submit to you, Mr. Remax, why don't you like Mark?
I don't know Mark.
Exactly. Nobody does. Because without brand awareness, he has no friends. None.
Maybe if Mark joined Remax, it'd cheer him up.
Oh, objection.
Overruled.
Sustained.
Oh, you know what? Remax wins. Case closed.
Find some more of those videos online on Remax LLC and Remax Western Canada's YouTube channels. So remember, let our experience be your guide is your new slogan for the next unforeseeable future until a new campaign is developed for 2021. And I'm going to turn things over now to Kayley Jackson, who is our communications coordinator, and she'll talk to you about communications and social media. So here we go.
All right. Morning, everyone. As Elaine mentioned, my name is Kayley Jackson. I'm the communications coordinator here at Remax of Western Canada, and I'm going to chat with you a little bit today about our communications, public relations, and some social media. So start off with a little bit of a communications update and how we go about doing our communications here. So one of the biggest parts of my job is doing public relations, PR. And what we do with the PR is we do a lot of market reports, and usually we have a number of these that release every single year. These are a few examples of some that came out in 2019. So we have things like the housing market outlook, the livability report, single home buyers report we released in 2019. We've had commercial investor reports that come out. And so we use these reports to help gather information across Canada. They're released through Remax Canada, so they're across the countrywide. And we reach out to experts in each market. So we reach out to our broker spokespeople to gather insights and produce these reports and gather insights to put out to media to hopefully garner some exposure and to set Remax as the experts in the industry for all things real estate. These reports work really well to gain us media exposure. We usually have a number of large platforms that these reports are picked up on, things like the Globe and Mail, Vancouver Sun, Edmonton Sun, all these big publications that will usually pick up our reports and give us some great media exposure. These also allow our higher ups like Elton and our broker spokespeople to speak on the topics of the reports and give their expertise and really set Remax up as the experts in the industry. So these reports are really great because you can leverage them on your own platforms with social media, with clients, all of these sorts of things. So a lot of the times with reports, we have features that come about with it that are customizable or that you can turn around and share and give information to your clients and people who are interested. And you can set yourself up as an expert in these topics to consumers. So you can share information on what's happening in the markets. You can have these to share on your social media platforms to have content to share out. We often have customizable features that are available through Design Center. So these are really great assets that you can utilize to set yourself up as the expert in the industry on all of these things that we set out, such as livability and home buying reports and housing market outlooks and things like that. Another big part of what I do is our PR initiatives. So some of you who are newer may not be aware of the Accessible Trick or Treat program that we did last year. Anyone who has been around for a while and saw this launch last year knew that it was a really interesting and exciting PR initiative that we put forward. So we partnered up with Home Depot and created these accessible trick or treat signs that we made available in the Home Depot locations across Canada. They were free to consumers, and they were an excellent way for agents to use these signs as a touch point to clients and to touch base with them. So these signs were put out in front yards, and it was basically to promote that people and their communities were accessible to children with mobility limitations who may have a harder time trick-or-treating and participating in the way that normal children have the ability to. So these signs were available to customize, so you could put agent name and your phone number and your office name on them and have them as not only a branding promotional aspect, but also a really great touch point with clients. Another initiative that we worked on last year in 2019 was the #HomeGoals YouTube series. This was a 5-part YouTube series that we created and launched on YouTube, on the RE/MAX Canada YouTube. And it walked through 5 different home buyers and their experiences in buying a home and what the home buying process looks like, and helped to set RE/MAX up as the experts in this process as well. So there were 5 episodes. They amassed a total of over 1.3 million views and garnered over 3.6 million impressions. So we had a really, really great response from that program and that series. Social media is another really big part of my job. I run all of the social media accounts for RE/MAX Western Canada. And so I like to talk about why you should be on social media. And if you're not on social, why it's such an asset to your business and your brand and promoting yourself as an agent. So most of your customers are online, and people are always searching for information, recommendations, and entertainment online on things like Facebook and Instagram. If you're not online, a competitor will be. So it's really important that you set yourself up in that space to really promote yourself and get your expertise out there and set yourself up as the one who people can come to with questions, and you're helpful, and it also increases brand awareness. So the more you're on social, the bigger your brand is going to appear. So one of the biggest things on social media is to make sure that your content is relevant. And you want to educate, you want to entertain, and you really want to add value to people, because if they're searching and they're not getting value from what you're posting, they're really not going to be interested. So I like to say to practice the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your content should be lifestyle, audience interests, community-based, education-based, and information about your brand, while 20% of your social media content should be on listings. While people may be coming to you to look for a house to buy, or they may be interested with selling with you, they're not always going to be looking solely at listings. They're going to want to get a feel for who you are, what you're like, what your practices are, sort of, they want to get a feel for your personality, because ultimately that's what's going to sell someone on whether or not they want to work with you, is your personality. So I really encourage anyone on social to really let their personality shine, use your personality to kind of bolster your expertise and really build your presence on social. So some really good ideas to use for your 80% news content. You can recognize your clients. So if they have recently purchased or sold a home, post a picture and congratulate them on either closing or selling or taking possession. Share events that you're attending in the community. A lot of the times when you work in real estate, you are an expert in a certain area of town or a certain community, and you can really utilize that to set yourself up as the expert for that community. So share events that you're going to, highlight any community involvement that you have. So things like bottle drives, fundraisers, different programs you have set up with things like schools or like youth programs. Because people love to see community involvement. You can reshare content from the RE/MAX of Western Canada and RE/MAX Canada accounts. We have tons of great content that go out on those channels every single day that you can utilize for your own content on your own social platforms. You can share industry news and market reports of things that are happening in real estate currently, different reports that we have releasing. And the biggest thing is to share your personality. Don't be afraid to hop on social media and tell a story about what's happened during your day or a different experience that you've had. Don't be afraid to be real with people and really let people know who you are in real life, because ultimately that's what's going to sell them. You don't want to be following someone on social and have them be one way, and then when you meet them in person, they're a completely different person from what you saw on social. So be authentic, be unique, be yourself. Some great tools that we utilize for social are things like WordSwag, Ripple and Biteable are really great, easy click and drag video creating platforms online. Canva.com is my tried and true. I love it. I've used it for years. It's a really easy online free tool that has great capabilities for creating all sorts of different content, whether it be social posts, posters, flyers, brochures, all sorts of things. So be sure to check that out. Some quick Instagram best practices. This is one of the biggest things that I see with agents that makes it challenging for consumers to not only find you, but to also be able to resonate with you as an agent and as a professional. Especially on Instagram, I see a lot of incomplete profiles. So with Instagram specifically, be sure to complete your profile, display a professional photo, post regularly, use relevant hashtags. And when you can, tag things like location, people, and brands, especially businesses as well. If you're focusing on a certain business in your community, make sure to tag them and highlight them in your social posts, because that's not only going to help your brand, it's also going to help their brand. And use the story feature. Don't be afraid to hop on and say, I'm on my way to this open house. If you're in the area, you should stop by and check it out, because you never know who's going to see that and who may be interested in stopping to find out more. Another really big thing that we encourage is to use consistent branding. Elaine touched on this a little bit with brand standards, and really being consistent with your branding across all of your online networks and all of your print materials. So when people visit your social media channels and your websites, they should be able to know that you are with RE/MAX and that you are part of the RE/MAX brand, because everything is consistent. You want to think of brand awareness with things like Nike and McDonald's and Apple. You see that logo and you know immediately what brand it is. It's the same with RE/MAX. People see the balloon and they know exactly what that balloon stands for. The logo needs to be sharp and current, not blurry. And you want people to be able to easily recognize that brand. So you don't have to have everything branded RE/MAX, but staying consistent with things like colors and fonts and logos where it's applicable is really, really important. Don't be afraid to experiment with ads. Ads can be scary, but the nice thing about ads on social media is you can put as much money into them as you really want and get that back. So you can start out experimenting and putting a little bit of money into it, seeing what kind of response you get, what kind of target audience you're hitting. If it works, great, you can put more money into that avenue. If it doesn't work, you can go try something different at a very low cost. So don't be afraid to experiment and try that out. You have to be able to target the right audience. So if you're promoting a listing that is really close to a rec center that would be great for kids, you want to be targeting people who may have young children or who may be looking to be in that area. One of the examples on the slide is if you have a house with a wine cellar, target people who love wine. It just kind of makes sense to have that cohesive targeting with what you're selling and what your audience may be looking for. And don't be afraid to just keep testing and keep trying things out and change things up and try something new, because again, you can put as much or as little into it and you can still get really good results. Another big thing, especially in the age of social media, is that a lot of people have a hard time taking things from online offline. So things like birthdays is a really, really easy example. If you see on Facebook that it's someone's birthday, a client, a friend, a colleague, rather than just writing on their Facebook wall or sending them a text, happy birthday, pick up the phone, give them a phone call, have a little conversation, say hi. That's going to mean a lot more to them than just seeing something up on their Facebook wall. And it's going to really come across as really genuine and authentic. And don't be afraid to have fun with it. Social media is all about having fun and being unique and being yourself and being different. We are on social. If you haven't already followed the RE/MAX of Western Canada social accounts, I strongly encourage you to. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Our Western Canada pages are very agent focused. So this is where you're going to want to go to find out anything that's happening with the region, any information that you may need to know about for upcoming events, any information that's going up on the Region Update blog, also going to get posted here. So this is a really great resource for you to use to stay up to date with current events with the region. RE/MAX Canada is also on social. Again, the same platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The RE/MAX Canada pages are more consumer focused. So this is a great tool that you can utilize to take content to flip around to your own social platforms. We've got all sorts of content that goes up constantly every single day on RE/MAX Canada. So it's a really, really great platform to utilize. And then we have our internal communications. So one of the big things we have that we utilize a lot is our RE/MAX influencers panel. So it's a group of RE/MAX agents and associates that we see as our experts in the industry. And so we survey once a month and send the surveys out to our influencer panel. And those results are gathered and combined, and I write blog posts on those. And so what that does is it allows our agents and our membership to be the experts in the industry and give us that information that we may need to then turn around and turn out a blog post that can then be informative to anyone who may be visiting the remax.ca blog. It's super easy. For more information to opt in, you can visit the Region Update. Another thing that we have is the Region Update blog. This is also a great tool. Any information that you may need to know will be found here. We've got our top 100 lists get uploaded every month, any updates on events, webinars, any new things that are coming to RE/MAX to the region. All that information can be found here. So you can visit remax-western.ca/blog. Another really great tool to have bookmarked in your browser to visit frequently. And last but not least, I do a bi-weekly region update, which is a video and an email that I send out. Please watch it. I put a lot of time into filming and editing and putting it together and sending it out. And it's a really great rundown of some of the 5 most important things that are happening within that 2-week period that you need to know about. I keep the video as short as possible. It's usually around 1.5 minutes, but yeah, definitely check that out. If you're not currently getting the region update, reach out to someone at the region and we can get you added to that list so that you get that every 2 weeks. And that's it for me. I'm gonna turn it back over to Elaine. She has a few more things to say before we wind down this 60 minutes presentation. Thank you.
Good job, Kayley. As you know, as you can see, there's a lot going on in our advertising, communications, and marketing department. So to thank you all for showing up today and staying to the very end. We're going to do a couple of draws. But also, if you want a tip sheet on some ideas for social content every single month, I've put together a list by month of some of the regional programs, such as the Quest for Excellence, the WHL vouchers for hockey tickets. And if you just run dry of ideas, you just go to this list and I'll guarantee there'll be something on there that will spur you with some ideas for your social media. So if you want one of those tip sheets, it's month by month, and you just need to email me, elanghout@remax.net. And if you email me, you'll be entered to win one of these lovely bobbleheads. Okay. So we're going to draw for 5 of those, and we're also going to draw for some great RE/MAX socks. Sorry, 5 pairs of socks. So again, you'll get the tip sheet from us, and also you will be entered for one of those 10 prizes. So if you want to send us some requests, it's elanghout@remax.net, and we'll make some draws. So thanks for staying, everybody. The next week will be with Derek and Jeff that'll walk you through starting your career with RE/MAX and our technology program. So to tune in next Monday at the same time, there will be window washers outside of our window right now. How lovely is that? We'll be with you again next week. And please keep emailing us. We're here to support you. This entire team at RE/MAX of Western Canada is so proud of everything that you guys have been doing over the past 6, 8, 10 weeks. Keep it going. You make us proud, and you give us the content that we need to write about and to promote. So we'll sign off from now and join in next week for Derek and Jeff. And don't forget to email us, win some prizes. Okay? Bye for now.